Protests have started in Portugal's capital, Lisbon, where Chancellor Angela Merkel is visiting right now. People there blame the German leader for their nation's economic hardships. The country had to adopt severe austerity measures to receive a bailout worth almost €80 billion last year. RT's Sarah Firth is in the Portuguese capital for us. Sarah, good evening. What is the mood like in Lisbon tonight?
Well, to sum up in one word, angry. It's all quiet here at the moment where the crowds had gathered earlier, just in front of the presidential palace as German Chancellor Angela Merkel had driven up in her motorcade to meet with the President and the Prime Minister. But just about 500 metres to my right, and there are huge crowds gathering and extremely sour mood there. In fact, it's sights that we've seen happening time and again in protests that have taken place throughout Europe, but not so familiar here in Portugal, which has until recently been much more accepting of those austerity measures. But we were with the crowds just a few moments ago, and the riot police had come in, they put up the barriers to separate off the crowds, and we just saw the angry crowds tearing down those barriers as they shouted and ended up in a standoff with those riot police. All throughout the crowds you could see banners naming Merkel herself, a huge amount of anger, of course, directed at the German Chancellor. She's very much been seen as heading this austerity drive. As we said, Portugal's really been the one that's been more tolerant, has marked it out in contrast to countries like Greece. But as the austerities continued and the country's entering its third year of recession now, we've really seen that mood turning much angrier. And as we said, it really is a very big contrast what we've seen today to what we've seen in their recent gatherings here.
Now, Portugal's, of course, the latest ripple of Eurozone protest, though, isn't it?
Absolutely. Of course, as we said, these are sights that we're used to seeing now. In Greece, just the other day, we had the small protest, but a week or so ago, and again, it was tear gas and clashes on the streets of Athens. They've just pushed through another budget measure that's causing huge anger in the country. You know, this is really a Euro-wide problem. In a couple of days, we're going to see Portugal joined by Greece, joined by Spain, joined by a number of other countries too, in a Euro-wide general strike. Remember back a year or so ago, and this was very much pitched as just a Greek problem. They were the ones that needed sorting out. German Chancellor Angela Merkel, she was very much chastising these southern European countries. Well, now she's doing the rounds. We saw her in Greece a month ago, met with wide public discontent there, and again today in Portugal. If she was expecting a warmer welcome, she certainly hasn't gotten one. That anger that we've seen here today in Portugal, absolutely mirroring what we're seeing happening all across Europe at the moment.
Yeah, and talking of all across Europe, plenty of Euro talking going on in Brussels today as well, isn't there?
These billion-dollar bailouts, the talks continue. Yeah, all eyes are going to be on that meeting today. Of course, top of that list is going to be Greece, is going to be getting that next tranche of money pushed through. It's actually quite embarrassing for the Greek government at the moment that that's being delayed. Greece, it seems, on the brink of bankruptcy at the moment. They really need that cash. It's likely that today what we're going to see come out of that meeting is actually an interim measure until they agree that next chunk of money to stop them actually sinking into bankruptcy. And at the same time, a lot of people are going to have their eyes very sharply watching what's going on here today in Lisbon. It's going to cause a lot of concern. Brussels needed a success story. They needed Portugal to be the southern European state that was managing to climb out of the recession. Unemployment here is hitting record highs of over 15% now. You've got huge cuts. They're facing one of the strictest, most strong budget cuts in recent times. And really you can see the impact that that is having on the people here. Portugal is losing patience. Europe is losing patience. You've got that general strike in a few days, and really that sentiment's echoed all across the continent right now.
All right, Sarah Firth in Portugal there. Thanks ever so much for updating us from Lisbon. It's appreciated. Let's get some more comment on that now. Angela Merkel's visit to bailed out Portugal is causing a stir. To discuss the latest events in the Eurozone, we're joined by Oliver Jannik. He's a leader of the Libertarian German Party of Reason. He's also a journalist and author. Therefore, we're delighted that he's on RT International. Good evening, sir. The Portuguese, as we've been reporting at the beginning of this hour, are taking this very personally. Why are they so angry at Angela Merkel when it's their government's decisions, end of the day?
Of course they are angry. I would be angry too. When people are in trouble, they get angry. and they are looking for an enemy. But the problem is they don't know who the real enemy is. It is the central banking system and the paper money system, and not Angela Merkel.
Angela Merkel, she's got a hard sales job on her hands here, isn't she? I mean, time has proven, time and time again, as we've witnessed, bailouts and austerity have so far failed to save Greece. What makes Angela Merkel think that they're going to work in Portugal then? How's she going to sell that one?
Oh, she does not think that it's working. She's not optimistic. She's just lying to the people. This is what politicians usually do. They lie to the people. She knows that Portugal can never pay back this debt, because in the paper money system you cannot pay back debt because money is created out of debt. I urge your listeners to go to the Austrian economics. There they explain it. You cannot pay back debt when the money is created out of debt.
We're watching closely over the weekend, seeing what happened last night, especially in Greece. The Greek Prime Minister said that the current cuts there will be his country's last, and that Merkel's actually delivered quite an optimistic message on Portugal before her visit today. What light at the end of the tunnel are they seeing that the rest of the public can't? You're putting that down to lies as well?
Yeah, that's the same answer. They don't see any light. They only want to get re-elected. It's mathematics. You can't pay back this debt, and everybody knows it.
Yeah, but
everybody
hang on, they're going to run out of breath. If that actually was the case, it's a bit simplistic, because they're going to run out of breathing space and bang into a big brick wall quite quickly. If that is the case, aren't they?
I mean, you can take all the figures and mix them up. It's simple mathematics. You can't pay it back. You cannot avoid the bankruptcy. These countries are all bankrupt. They just have to declare it and admit it to the public, but they won't.
A geopolitical consultant we spoke to a bit earlier on in the programme said EU countries are sacrificing their interests to stay in the euro. Now, at this point, would dropping out do much harm to the economy, like, say, Greece, for instance? That's really on its uppers, isn't it?
Of course, it would do harm to the people and to the country. But the harm would be even greater if you delay to drop out of the Eurozone, and better to drop out of the paper money system. It does harm. There's no way to avoid this. Every paper money collapse goes this way. So you can't avoid the harm.
Oliver, that's the theory. It's a strong theory you've got there. But what do you really think is going to happen?
I think they will prolong it as long as it's possible. The European Stability Mechanism will inflate the currency further, and the banksters will make much money out of this, because now you get the real money, you get free lunch. Because if you know that governments are buying these bonds and you buy before that, then you make huge profits, and this is the reason why they delay the collapse.
Oliver Jannik, leader of the German Libertarian Party of Reason, also journalist and author. Thanks for being on the programme, giving us your thoughts.